Philip, is there an expectation that there'll be a ground invasion in the coming days or weeks? Probably more so the coming days. Is that how you're feeling about things when you've got, your son, a reservist, some 330,000 of them on standby at the moment?
Well, obviously, I'm not in the Israeli military. I'm not an expert on defence and military issues. There's a lot of talk about it on the streets and with our friends and family, and it may very well happen. It's obviously a tactical question, because once ground troops go in, the fighting gets much more complicated and much more direct and intimate in a sense, and it's a lot more dangerous. So we're obviously watching it very carefully. There is a lot of speculation, but we don't have any inside information as to whether that's going to happen or not. Obviously, the Prime Minister, Minister of Defence and the Chief of Staff will have to make that decision.
And your son, he's got family as well. I mean, not just yourself, but he's got kids. He's got his own family. I mean, it's tense stuff if that decision comes that he's got to go into what would be a very violent and complex situation.
Absolutely. He's got 3 very young children, twins who are under 2.5, and now a son who's just born 3 weeks ago, which is why we came to Israel to celebrate that event. Of course, they're all very concerned about that possibility, and also the possibility of the Northern Front opening with Hezbollah from Lebanon, which would create all sorts of further strategic and defence and security complexities for Israel.
Yeah, and Joe Biden, he was on giving a speech to the nation just about an hour ago, Philip, and he mentioned that 14 Americans had been victims in all of this so far. This comes on a day when the first Australian victim had been identified, a 66-year-old grandmother who was born in Sydney. Goes to show that, it doesn't just affect Israel. This affects many countries around the world.
Absolutely. Whatever happens in the Middle East affects a lot of the world. We know that. It's, in a sense, the crucible of a lot of activity around the world. But, of course, Israel is a country with immigrants from all over the world, a melting pot, a very successful melting pot. So, yes, there are people who've come from scores of countries to settle in Israel. And, of course, there are many tourists and visitors and people who work in Israel from other countries, and they get caught up in this terrible violence.
That's Philip Chester coming to us live from Tel Aviv. Philip Chester, the former president of the Zionist Federation of Australia. Thanks so much for your time, Philip.